This
giving me this
conference will now
opportunity.
be recorded.
Yeah, thanks. So I would like to thank Mr. Vijay Reddy for giving me an opportunity to talk on a very interesting topic, that is different perspectives in business analysis and what business analysts should do in the current situation scenario where the world is getting disrupted almost on a daily basis, and more so with the disruption that has come unexpectedly, that is the virus, which actually has made us all think differently of how business and business analysis needs to be done in such disruptive scenarios. To give a brief introduction, my name is Vijay Karna. As I told you, I have over 25 years of experience. Half of this has been in the industry. I started off with the petrochemicals, oil and gas industry, that is Reliance Industries in India. Then, after working there for almost a decade, I shifted to information technology, where actually I started off with ERP implementation, and that is where actually uh, got to know how important it is to understand the business and how important it is to do the analysis of the business and the requirements before actually we convert the business and map it to the information technology. And also I understood how different specifications of the within the business needs to be understood for actually mapping them and implementing them and rolling them into information technology. But as I progressed in my experience and the expertise, I learned more that it is more of the business analyst that makes the business more cost effective, productive, and efficient. Because whatever he understands from the actual business users translates that to specifications and give it to the IT is what is the stepping stone or the starting stone for the actual automation part also. So after working in the IT industry for almost 15 years now, I've understood the importance of uh, doing the transformation from a business analysis perspective, mapping the business processes into the information technology. And right now, I got my doctorate recently on mapping the operational technologies. Operational technologies are the front-ending technologies which actually get the data, measure the using the devices, and all the IoT and the edge devices which you are talking of right now have been in existence for a long time, and that is where my expertise lies of mapping the operation technologies to information technologies. Information technologies is more or less on the back end, and it actually just analyzes the data which actually comes from the operation technology. So that is a different topic altogether. I'm not going to detail about that. But why am I going? Why am I talking on this topic? Is, as I told you, right? Digital disruption is affecting each and every industry across the globe from different perspectives, and that is where actually the different perspectives needs to be understood and considered in business analysis. So, as recently we have seen that 5G is also come into existence, and there are a lot of disruptions that are happening. The technology of the drone, the 3D printing, and the automation and robotics, all these things are making us look at the information technology in all two different way. And the same is the case with the business analysis and business. The job of business analyst has become more important nowadays. Why so? Because it is not just the techie companies that are getting disrupted. There are other industries, from shipbuilders to farmers to banks, airlines, government agencies. Everyone is getting disrupted because virtually every major organization is on the some sort of digital transformation journey. And as I told you, because of this situation which we are in, the COVID-19, where all of us are almost confined to the workplace at home, we have seen how actually the digital transformations and the likes of internet and the mobile remote mobility and the virtual working mechanisms have helped us a lot. So that is where actually, even though this tsunami of the virus has hit us, we are not disconnected. So why is this that we are not disconnected even though we are maintaining a social distance? Virtual connections is possible because of the disruptions in the industry, in the technology industry. So how do we actually take care of the different perspectives? The digital transformation call for different approaches, as I told you. Then the perspectives including reducing the overall technical debt. Technical debt is faster go to market. How do I actually uh, make an idea into actual reality? How fast can I make it to the market, and thereby reducing the overall cycle time? How reduce the overall implementation time? Increasing the efficiency, increasing the productivity. How do I make it more robust? How do I reduce the amount of time and money spent on the technical maintenance where it is still sufficient? So all these things require us to look at our business analysis into different perspectives. And some of the perspectives which are given over here are the agile and DevOps perspective. All of you must be knowing that, and some of you must be practicing the agile and DevOps methodology. Then comes the business intelligence perspective. I'll go into detail of what exactly I mean by business intelligence. Then comes the information technology perspective, where actually, as I told you, all that we are doing nowadays has a linkage to the information technology, because no industry is now untouched, right from the medical profession to the building management systems to our cars. Everything has a relation to the information technology. From the business architecture perspective, why actually business architecture is the cornerstone or stepping stone for any information technology that will go, and why BA as a profession is gaining importance also, I'll explain. And of course, everything requires the proper mapping and management of the business process. That is what we'll conclude with. Okay. Then the first thing is about the agile and DevOps perspective. So as we all know that nowadays this concept of full stack developer has really caught up with all of us. People are expecting us to be not only just master of one but jack of all. How do we make that one person has all the capabilities, all the skills? That is through gaining the importance of agile and DevOps. It may be from the staffing model, it may be from the governance model, the governance metrics. It can be from the case studies and best practices that we learn from each other. That should be our one of the areas of our improvement. Then comes the DevOps and the tooling. How do we actually the different engineering practice and agile tooling that we can take care of as a full stack developer should be a part of our overall journey. Then how agile and DevOps maturity assessment can help us to overall assess the situation of as is and to be, and then come up with a proper roadmap. People are expecting faster go to market, and agile and DevOps perspective is one very good way of going faster for go to market and reducing the technical debt. Then there are different frameworks within agile and DevOps, as you all know. For example, we have the LESS, that is a large scale Scrum framework. We have the DAD, that is a disciplined agile delivery framework. We have the Nexus, the framework for scaling Scrum. Then we have the SAFe, the framing of scaling agile. All these things are helping us to make our continuous improvement, continuous sprint planning, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring faster and better. As you all know, uh, the loop is given in the middle about the agile and the DevOps is nothing but an infinite loop where I continuously plan, I continuously integrate, I continuously implement, I continuously deploy, I continuously monitor. All these things are helping us to make our architecture and business analysts much robust and much faster. So all these things have happened with the sprint planning, the Scrum masters, and all these things using through our Agile and DevOps methodology, which has three major blocks, that is the prepare, build, and the release.
Hello,
Then
Vijay. I'm
there
Mamta
this
here.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt here. I
hello
just
ma'am.
wanted to know a bit more about DevOps so that I can fully understand the agile DevOps perspective. So, can you explain me a bit more about DevOps?
Yeah, so Mamta, see this. I can take a different session on the Agile and DevOps, because if I start into going to Agile and DevOps, it will take the entire half an hour, which I'm allocated. But to answer to your point, what happens was previously there were two streams of application management, sorry, application maintenance and application development. There are different set of people who are doing application maintenance, two sets, and another set of people doing the application development. So people, or the industry felt that there are some duplications happening in the both the streams, that is the maintenance and development. And they thought that some of the developers who are actually sitting idle in the during the maintenance phase, or some of the maintenance engineers who are sitting idle in the development phase, can be cross-skilled, cross-trained, and used, so that we have a combined go-to market. That is, the development and operations can be brought together, made a single team, and then the efficiencies of the two teams can be clubbed into one, where a particular developer, he can actually do the coding as well as do the specifications. A tester can do the testing from the unit test perspective, sprint perspective, agile DevOps perspective. So there are multiple roles which actually got clubbed, and that is where the two streams of development and operations, that is development and maintenance, got clubbed and called as DevOps. And then actually people thought that the typical waterfall mechanism has lot of time built into it. Things can be made much faster, much simpler, much shorter, and that's where the agile part of it came into play, where some of the steps can be truncated, some of the steps can be made some automated or less cumbersome. That is where the agile part of it, and combining the agile methodologies, that is not going through the full agile waterfall methodology, along with the clubbing of the development operation streams, called the agile and DevOps. So this in brief about agile and DevOps, but there is a separate science and stream altogether. I can take it in a different class altogether. Okay.
Okay, thanks,
And
Vijay. It
so
gave me an
there are
overview of
different
thing. Yeah, thank you.
yeah. So the sort of different streams of the DevOps perspective are the people process, then the product. The people actually have to understand what exactly, as I told you, the different. They'll have to understand what is the cultural change that needs to be done. What are the different teams that they are working on, and what are the organizational structure that are working on. So all these things actually are the people part, where there's a major cultural change that needs to happen. Then the process perspective also, as I told you, right? Looking at the DevOps perspective, looking at the uh, Ashwell waterfall mechanism, how do we actually make it more efficient, more productive, more robust? We look at combining some processes of development and operations and come up with a gap analysis of how we can do a full stack development as against a agile development. And there are definitely, the product has the tooling perspective, the technology perspective, then the roadmap perspective. So I'm not going to detail of all these things, but there are different ways of looking at agile and DevOps from a people, process, and product perspective. And of course, the uh, above all these things come the strategy. How actually I can come up with a storyboard and final presentation. How do I actually come up with a blueprint, and what are the different mechanisms and frameworks which we saw in the earlier different slide. Then going further, the agile DevOps perspective has been given as a cycle over here, where as you can see, different tools, different products have been used here. To For an example, the CA Agile Manager has been used for project management. The Jenkins is used for orchestration from a business process perspective. We have Splunk, we have Elastic, we have Git, we have Maven, we have Eclipse. So different tools have been used for different DevOps functionality, and all these things actually are having their own repositories. When I say repositories, you don't have to develop anything. All you have to do is take the product or the tool, and it has some ready-made artifacts which you can use, ready-made codes which we can use, and that is where all these mechanisms of agile comes in. Agile means that how much of we can you reuse and rebuild instead of making yes, starting from scratch. So that is where the functionality and the beauty of the agile and the DevOps methodology comes in. So this is just an example. I can go into deeper, as I told you, take a different class. But the latest that is happening is the scaled agile, that is called SAFe implementation roadmap. Just another example of how the 12 waterfall has been now made more lean and agile, and where actually the different streams and artifacts are clubbed using the reusable components, and how actually different Scrum teams and the sprints are clubbed into making it more scaled agile perspective. So this is where the safe DevOps and the safe agile software engineering is helping us to look at the business analyst and business analysis in a different perspective. So with this, I will go to the next perspective, that is the business intelligence perspective. Business intelligence is nothing but uh, data science or data management. So there are 5 stages of data. That is the data acquisition, data aggregation, data analysis, then you assign the data, and then the last one is how do we make the action out of the data. This has been given as a pictorial representation of how the data is gathered, how the data is cleaned, how the data is prepared, how the data is stored, analyzed, and presented. So all these steps are primary foundations for the business intelligence, because what happens is we gather a lot of data, but we don't know how to use the data, how to analyze the data. That is the biggest drawback of the industry nowadays, IT industry, where they're having a lot of analysis done, but they don't have proper mechanisms of analyzing the data for proper action. So this business analysis or business analyst is the person who helps this IT people for the data that has been gathered, acquired, and analyzed to make it more meaningful analysis and meaningful action. That is where the business intelligence perspective comes in. Then the business intelligence, of course, has different parts. That is the data platform where the data is collected, then the analytics platform where the data is analyzed and respond. Then we have the business relationship management. That is the BRM, who are the like the team which is the bridge between the business analyst or the business people who manage the business to the IT people. Then we have the business process management, which will go into detail, which has the embedded operations into this. And then of course all these things are related to the data source, where we set the requirements and do the hypothesis to this. Okay. So this is about the business intelligence perspective. Of course, there is a lot of what do you call the architecture into all these things, and we need to understand how the data is stored, how the data is managed, how it is actually analyzed using the Colab or the data mining and the text analysis tools, how it is presented using the dashboards, the scorecards, and how actually this is now then presented to the management through BR portal, Excel services, and what are the how is it used by the end users. So all these things actually is nothing but making the user experience better and faster and simpler. Okay. So this is about the business intelligence perspective. Then we have again more details about what exactly is the business intelligence perspective, what are the different sources, what are the different cubes, how actually the data is gathered, and what is it, the different modeling techniques, how the data is blend, how it is the ETL mechanisms, the some cleaning mechanisms, all these things are primary importance, and that is one of the areas that actually is getting a lot of importance nowadays in the business analysis world. uh, Data science and data management will actually rule the world, not only from a decision making perspective, but also from a machine learning or the automation, or all these things are related to the data science and data management. Then, of course, this is another example of the business intelligence architecture with Microsoft BI Stack. People who actually use the Microsoft suite will know how the BI is actually gaining a lot of importance, and it has now a lot of APIs and plugins to different ERPs. Also, you can plug it to the SAPs or the Oracles, and also it can be used for custom software development tools like the databases and the application files. Different sources can be extracted, ETL can be processed through SQL Server, and the end user tools also can be used combined along with the search collaboration, and then that is where the team BI and Oracle BI can work together, and that is where the business intelligence perspective comes in. And having a thorough understanding of all these things is primary importance for the business analyst to understand where the data is coming from, how the data can be analyzed, and where and who can use this data and how it can be used is what business analysis can do from a different business intelligence perspective. Now coming to the information technology perspective, all of you know that information technology is getting disrupted almost on a daily basis. Previously, the technology disruptions were happening almost like twice a year, once in 2 years or once in 1 year. But now the disruptions are happening on a monthly basis. Just for example, look at this circle over here. All these things have gained importance in the last 1 year. Just look at the API factory, digital manufacturing, 3D printing, smart city. So I can name and go on forever. And this is never ending. This is also like a rolling cycle where things keep happening on a daily basis, and new technologies, new ways of working keep coming. So we have the autonomous things, autonomous cars, autonomous buildings, autonomous um, uh, labs, autonomous operation machines. Then we have the optical character recognition, computer vision, chatbot. All these things are gaining importance. This also requires a lot of time for understanding all of these things. But why am I stressing on information technology is, as business analyst and business analyst professionals, we need to understand what is the importance of this information technology and where we can use it. It is not just knowing how to use it, but where to use it is more important, and that is where, as business analysts, we can make the difference. For example, deep learning, where can I use it as against open source? How and where can I use blockchain as against conventional platforms? So all this, someone may say that why don't you use blockchain? So we should understand whether the use case or the business case is suitable for the blockchain. Do we have the infrastructure first of all? Does the business ready for that? Does do the blocks within the blockchain have the capability of getting cryptocurrency and cryptography embedded? All these things we have to understand. Then only we can look at the information technology perspective. But we need to know both the sides of the coin. One is the business side and the information technology side. Then only we can make a proper analysis of the information technology. Then, as I told you, we need to understand the maturity curve of the information technology. It is not just uh, acquisition of the data or the acquisition of the information. We have to aggregate the analysis, assign it, and action. All these things come through the information technology usage, and how actually we can use, how we can integrate, how do we interface, how do we use the APIs and the different methodologies, whether it is online through some cloud, it is outside of the cloud through edge devices, or do we require the 5G more faster? All these things we'll have to understand from information technology. Then only we can make a proper, meaningful analysis of the business, and then suggest what best suits for the return of investment, each of the increasing value of the investment. Then, for example, if I take the case of architecture for streaming analytics, there are different analytics that can come from the autonomous things, like the autonomous car, the data that comes from the cloud, the battery operations, then the social media usage, and the manufacturer. All these things are connected to the cloud through universal messaging system for making better decisions of the car. The car can be connected all the time through the cloud, or it can have its own edge devices for making offline decisions. Then how is this speed layer fast tracked using different streaming analytics? Do I require some junctions? Do I require some stations for these devices and the relaying, or can I use the 5G or the 4G for universal messaging? How do I actually stack the layers? Do I use the HDFS or the batch analytics? All these things I need to understand. Then using the serving layer, the processes, alerts, and the APIs can be used, which can then passed on to the consumers. This is also important for also for us knowing not just the business from the business analysis perspective, but how can I make the business more efficient? How can I make it more productive is what comes out from the information technology perspective. As I told you, the Industry 4.0 has come up with a lot of disruptions where actually the connected devices and connected world has made a lot of things possible. We can control something that is not even visible to us through our mobiles. We can view something that is in a different country being operated or managed from our convenience of our room. And that's what we are doing right now. Even though the COVID-19 has made us very less mobile, but what we are able to see is uh, talk to each other, share each other, to each other, and that has made us like sitting adjacent to each other, even though we are miles or countries apart. That is the beauty of information technology, and that is the beauty of how business analysts can use information technology, removing the boundaries and borders using information technology. And that's where business analyst needs to know how actually he can use the likes of industry 4.0, manufacturing 4.0, and now we are entering into era of five industry 5.0 and manufacturing 5.0. All these things will get disrupted, where devices and edges will rule the world, not the technology, or sorry, not the machines. Okay? So we need to understand four different aspects of why is it important for me to look at the business, where the how do I discover it, how do I vision it with whatever I have, then how do I actually make the future state using different methodologies and concepts and things like that, and with what. So I need to understand what is the business, what is the information, what is the information system, what is the infrastructure. All these things I did understand for making the business decision. Then only I can make a proper meaningful analysis of the business domain. In the interest of time, I will not go into all these things, but there is something known as a SAFER methodology. SAFER stands for structure, analyze, facilitate, embed, and review. This is a SAFER methodology which actually has different functionalities, how actually we can understand the business architecture right from the business understanding perspective to the technology perspective. So, in the interest of time, I'll not go into deep into this. But what it does is it actually ties together different pieces of the puzzle. That is strategy, the process, the people, the structure, and the rewards. And all these things are very much required for making a business more efficient, more productive, and more operatable. And that is where actually all these things come handy. And we, of course, have different mechanisms of measuring, monitoring, and improving the business processes. And the next topic which I will cover is the business process management. Business process management so very important is because this is where actually we will map the business processes into the operation technologies and information technologies. So operational technologies are the devices or the edges or the measurement points, and information technology is at the back end. How do I map the like order to cash, procure to pay, or order record to report, all these processes? How do I map them into the information technology? What are integration points? How do I correlate the data? How do I make it more productive? How do I make it more prescriptive? What are the insights I get? How do I make it more visual? How do I avoid outages? All these things using visibility control, automation, real-time analytics is possible only when we have a proper BPM, that is business process management, in place. And how does it come? It has evolved over a period of time. The traditional automation where we had the scripts, the procedures, all these things had now then took the business process management into the robotic process automation, where rule-based processes from the business processes were built in, repetitive tasks were made automated, and ad hoc manual tasks were made into processes. And then we had after the RPA, we have the DPA, that is a digital process automation, where we have the digitalization, optical character recognition, workflow enabled software processes. Then after the DPA came the IIA, that is intelligent integrated automation, where we have the chatbots, virtual agents, and analytics, cognitive AI solutions, and things like that. So now we're in the area of smart processes. Smart, as in you must all know that SMART stands is an acronym where we have S for simple, M for measurable, A for analytic, R for repeatable, and T is for time bound. So we have the smart processes which are end-to-end automated and straight-through processes, and human-like intelligence is now brought in through cognitive capabilities and cognitive science. So this is where actually business process management helps us to move from the traditional automation to the RPA, to the DPA, to IIA, to the smart processes. Then comes the how actually we are using the likes of cognitive problem management solutions, which are interrelated with the predictive and prescriptive management, where we have the cognitive automation, machine learning embedded into the event correlation. Event correlations which have the engines with heuristics, is actually built on automated resolution mechanism, that is RPA. And as I told you, all these things have now taken shape of self-heal mechanisms and self-services, where the machines are able to talk to themselves, machines are able to heal themselves, and also give us services even without us to do anything. Nowadays, the machines are so very intelligent and that they are able to predict what we are going to do in the next near future. Some of you must have seen the movie Robo, where actually that particular robo which the hero makes is able to predict, and that is what is going to happen in the future. Where once the cognitive capabilities of robo are embedded into the machine, it will be able to emote and have all the five senses as human being. That is where we can make the best use of for the robos. Okay. Now, this is where actually I would like to end and take any questions, because I'm just 1 minute above what stipulated time. And thank you all for patient hearing. I know that I went through very fast, but because of the topic and the different subtopics I had to cover, I had to rush. I'm more than happy to help you and give a different session for each of this, but I'm more than happy to take any questions at this point of time. Thank you.
Hey, hi Vijay, Faizan this side. So it would be really helpful if you could let me know
Was
how
it
lean can be
useful? Yeah.
how lean can be used for a BA into the projects.
I'm not able to.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. So as I told you, right, in the projects, there's. Yeah. Am I audible, Vijay here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes,
That's a very
I
good
can.
question. So what, as I told you, right, all the projects have different people, process, so as a business analyst, we need to understand what is the capability and the maturity of the people, and then assess of how we can use the people from a skill perspective. Then the process comes there, where we need to understand how efficient, how complex, how critical are the processes. Then we need to do a as is analysis of the processes. And there are different tools within the information technology, as I told you, of assessing the processes from the as is and to be, and using our business analysis and do a project management of these processes. Then comes the product. That is the product which we are going to implement. From an information technology perspective or from a manufacturing perspective. What is the capability of the product? How configurable it is? How customizable it is? All these things are, as a business analyst, are our responsibility to come up with this skill matrix or the maturity matrix of the people, process, and product, and then come up with the requirements gathering of what are the gaps, how do I address these gaps, how do I overcome these gaps. It may be from the risk perspective, it may be from the assumptions perspective. All these things I need to understand, and then come up with a proper roadmap and a plan right from the beginning. Because what we do generally is we come up with a plan without understanding the complete 360-degree perspective, take all the stakeholders into confidence, and later we realized at the testing phase or the quality phase that some of the functionalities are being missed out, and that's where our scope creep and all these things come up, which makes the projects fail or more money spent. That's where I suggest that you look at the agile part from all the perspective, and then look at how actually as a business analyst you can use the different perspectives as I mentioned in the lecture.
Okay, thank you. That was really helpful.
Any other questions, please?
Hi Vijay, thank you for doing the presentation today. I just wanted to ask you very quickly, is it available for viewing again? And do you have a recording for this?
Yeah, I think Mr. Vijay Reddy has recorded the session and he'll be sharing the link. I'm not sure how that works, but I'll leave it to Mr.
Yeah,
Vijay
we
Reddy.
have a recording. Yeah, yeah, recording is available.
Sure, thank you. And will you be doing some more
And
of
of,
these?
and of course, yeah, definitely. I'm more than happy, but I also have a day job. So based on the interest generated on the topics, I can plan with Mr. Vijay Reddy and do more sessions.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. No question? Close.
Yeah, hi, I'm Deepak, and
Okay,
just
thank
want
you
to.
all.
Yeah, Deepak.
Yeah, hi Deepak.
Yeah, hi. Just wanted to know the current market perspective. I mean, where the BA fits into this current market. It's economic turmoil also, which is going. I mean,
Yeah,
what is the?
so that's a very good question, and I've been predicting that all the automation that is happening will take away 50% of the jobs from a technology perspective. But at the same time, it is going to create 75% more jobs because of the disruptions in the industry. The new technologies coming up and the new processes coming up. That means net to net, there'll be 25% more job generation. But this 25% job generation, additional job generation, will happen primarily through business analyst and business uh, uh, architecture only. Why I'm very positive about this is business analysts are the people who understand both from the, as I told you, both the business processes and the technology. These are something like the pillars of the bridge between the business and the technology, and they are the people who actually can make things much better, efficient, and productive. And that's where my experience also comes up of how do I automate something that is already repeatable, or something that is not requiring any human intervention, something repetitive for task. But for that to happen, I require a proper thorough analysis of the business, proper understanding of what are the do's and don'ts, what are the limitations, what are the risks of doing certain things, and all these things are require a perfect business analyst to do the proper analysis, the IS and 2B. So I am expecting at least 25% of more jobs, not in the same field, but a new segment will open up altogether for us business analysts to make a better job.
Any any sectoral advantage so far, like which sector is going to be the emerging sector for this BA, for these BAs? Of course, these things are very generic, like in terms of government and other. I'm sorry, are you able to hear me?
So there are three sectors that are going to be the first, the front runners for this. One is life sciences. Life sciences is the first that will have the major impact. Second is the financial sector, because of the disruptions in the financial sector, the life sciences, and of course manufacturing has always been disrupted. So more and more disruptions will happen where cobots, that is the coexistence of robots and human beings, will come up, and that's where these are the three that are going to immediately take advantage. But of course, one after the other, all the industries will be taking into their consideration.
Yeah, one more quick question. If I would appreciate if you can. Like what are the area where we need to be more confined on, like considering this current scenario? It's all about assessing the current scenario. Yeah, thank you. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I'm not able to
Yes,
hear
yes.
you. Mr. Reddy here is not clear.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. Yeah, now better.
So, like one more,
I didn't understand the
quick question
sorry.
again. This is the I mean, into the same bandwidth I'm talking about. Like, what are the areas where a business analyst needs to be more confined on, or he needs to be much focused on, considering the current scenario? Like, what are the things he needs to brush up or he needs to add on? Maximum, yeah.
Not able to hear.
Sorry, can you do one thing?
I'll text you.
Can you drop a mail? You're breaking up. I'm not able to understand. You could drop a mail or send a message. I'll regret you. I'm not able to understand any question, sir.
So can I
Yeah,
Can I ask
question
his
is
question?
You're breaking up big time.
yes.
Hello?
Yeah, ask.
Yeah. So I heard his
Sorry
question.
for
So
that, but there's a
basically,
lot
what
of disruptions or disrupt. You send a mail, I'll
still?
reply. Sorry, not able to hear you. Sorry, Kayali. Your was a bit.
Yes.
Sorry.
So what? Sorry.
Maybe you can
So
send a message or
am
a
I
mail.
audible now?
I'll reply to that offline.
Yeah. Okay. I was just repeating his question that he was just asking that on what areas basically we need to focus. I mean, on what area a BA should be confined or
Focus
more
as a
focus
business.
on few of the. Yes, as a business analyst to learn anything, or I mean, how to progress further. I guess
Yes,
this is what he
as I
was
told you, right?
asking.
Requirements gathering and requirement, requirements gathering and mapping it to the processes is the area where actually a lot of new jobs can be generated, because people don't understand. As I told you, the data analysis and aggregation is gaining a lot of tools and a lot of automation. But how do we actually assign the data and take action? That is where the process analysis of requirements gathering, doing a meaningful analysis is coming. Is of gap is there. As a business, we need to understand the use of the analysis of the data. Business, how do I make data that is how do I assign the data? How do I make the assignment as an actionable item? Values, as you know, as a analyst magazine. If I
Right.
break the overall data science into 5 parts, that is data acquisition, aggregation, and analysis, only 72% of the organizations, or that is 72% of organizations are able to
Sorry, Vijay, you are breaking up a lot.
do the first three, that is acquisition,
Hello?
analysis, and aggregation. But only 27% of the organizations are go for, that is, how do I assign the data that has been analyzed? How do I action that has been analyzed or assigned? Meaningful action of it to make meaningful. Okay, but understand that, otherwise I can.
Right.
Okay, I can send.
Yes. You are breaking up a lot, but yeah, I did get your answer.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question. Is there any role or scope for business analyst in green IT and sustainability?
Sorry.
Hello. What is the role of the business analyst in sustainability and environment friendly like green IT system?
Yeah, that's a good question. So sustainability is gaining a lot of importance, where actually we are trying to see how do we reduce the wastage of not only the process manufacturing, but how do we reduce the wastage of coding, wastage of the infrastructure, wastage of the IT. How do I ensure that I'm using the cloud overall cycle time of electricity infrastructure? How do I reduce the testing? How do I reduce the cycle time? How the coding, wastage? All these things are helping me to be more efficient, more greener, and more sustainable. But again, that is a different topic altogether. I can take sustainability and green IT is a different topic for business analysts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Very quick question, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So, with the webinar that you do, thank you very much firstly for doing them. Would there be possibility, if you know of somewhere where we can basically do like a practice project and work on this, and then obviously use the education that you have and obviously from our own knowledge that we gain, could we put that into a practice in a project?
Yeah, so that is another good question. So there are a lot of crowdsourcing platforms where people put the projects and they're looking for people who can help them. You can look at the crowdsourcing platforms for projects. They're also looking for business analysts to be part of those crowdsourcing projects, and then you can participate in. You can take, if you want any help, I can help you with any topic which you are working on. So look, Google or search for crowdsourcing projects within. A lot of freelancers are looking for help in business analyst, and you can look at that. Okay.
Would you recommend any particular any particular website, or just Google?
Yeah, you can Google up. There are a lot of topics which I don't want, a lot of sites which I don't want to recommend, but there are a lot of crowdsourcing platforms you can Google. A lot
Sure.
of freelancing people are also there.
Okay, how am I able to reach out to you?
You can talk to Mr. Reddy, Vijay Reddy, who is coordinating this. Then he can share the information.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, I think we are short of the time. So thanks, Mr. Reddy, for giving an opportunity.
Yeah.
Pleasure, and hope we can consider this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vijay, for holding the session.
Thank you, Vijay sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Thank you.
Mr. Reddy, hi. How am I able to reach out to you?
Yeah, just ping me on WhatsApp. I will be available.
Sure. Okay, cool.